Good morning, everybody. Okay, here is our MarkBook, and in this video, this first of three videos, this one I simply want to go through the functionality of the MarkBook itself. In the second and third videos I will go more into the underlying mechanics. At this stage all we want to know is what does the thing do, how can it be used, what does it produce. Just one thing I must say in advance, all the data that you see here on the screen, yes, the school is real, it is Danville, the teachers are real, the kids are real, but none of the data is real. And I'll even show you how I inputted that data. I used a random function from Excel to simply input the data into it. I could have used Glenwood or one of the other schools that I'm familiar with, and that academically I just think with the way that they do things. It just makes it easier for me when I'm doing demonstrations. Okay, and folks, although I've been working on this thing on and off for a year or more, the first few months were basically just taken up looking at what other programs were producing in terms of a MarkBook, and I must say I actually gleaned nothing, because things like Pencilbox, EdAdmin, etc., they had a MarkBook, but it wasn't the MarkBook that I was after. They tended to work on an integrated MarkBook, very limited, no real functionality, and that's why I avoid the use of the word integration. I far prefer the idea of interactive. You'll see just now when I start actually demonstrating this thing that it is entirely interactive with your main program, your front office program. The two programs need to be able to talk to each other and know what to change and what not to change and when to change it and so on. Also, I find it very difficult once I get passionate about something to do to not go to the final end. And you'll see with this button at the top here called Official Year, when I click that just now for you, you'll see that the end product I was trying to get to was something that was just unavailable in others. But I can understand other programs thinking they tried to discourage any kind of custom functionality as far as possible. It's all about, I guess, a business sense of maximizing profits. And as you know, as a service, we just don't work that way. So that's the sort of background, and with that out of the way, I'm going to head into this thing to give you a basic idea. If you were sitting as a teacher working on this thing, what would you be doing? Right, let's go from the top left here. Setting the path to the school data will be done for you. What will happen is that you will be given a MarkBook for each of the grades that you actually teach. And you will be given one, for example, English grade 12, this one is based on the official English grade 12 thing, which is also good nowadays with the caps. We're given an end product that we want to get to, so we know exactly what things have to be put into each of the terms. And of course, it's not the purview of this now, but later on in the second or third video I will show you how you can customize your different mark entry sheets. Set the path to the school data. So, okay, you're given this English grade 12. You can then rename it. You can copy it and paste it and rename it English 12 MA. If you do that, as has been done here, the file, this picks up the name of the file, so you always know exactly which class you're working with. There, it'll tell you who you are, what subject it is, and which class you're dealing with. Also, when you log in, you choose which class you're dealing with. The program picks up the file name. If I've got another class, for example, this lady here also has 12 MH. She would have copied English grade 12, pasted it, named it English brackets 12 MH or whatever. If she wanted to say English my best class, then what would happen here was this would read English my best class. Whatever you name the file, this will automatically get picked up. This written by simply who wrote this program for you. In the first instance, Blaise, Kyle and I have got the work schemes, the MarkBook schemes for every single grade, from grade R all the way through to grade 12, for every single subject. And our intention is to make one for each grade for every single subject. But that's a daunting task in its own, and I'm really hoping that down the line a bit we're going to have groups of people that will become proficient in how to use this building code, which I will go more into in video 2 and video 3 for those that are interested. You will find that I've made it so that putting formulas into this thing really is a piece of cake. If you're reasonably proficient at Excel, you will manage with this no problem. But clearly, I don't want anybody other than super users, in other words, somebody that after a course we have given the intellectual property rights to for the program, they then are fully entitled to go and write the program as they choose using this building code here. All of the behind the scenes program is already done for you. There's nothing more to do there. It's purely a question of putting in formulas the way you want them and adjusting mark entries the way you want them. It's that simple. So this, when you get given your mark sheet, this will already be set for you. The refresh data is pretty simple. You can click that refresh data at any stage. Again, video 2 and video 3, I will tell you what refreshing data is and how it won't disturb your MarkBooks at all. Right, then, so that is the class you're dealing with. That is the person who wrote your particular program. This link to the data is available. Simply means that the machine I'm working on at the moment actually has got a link to the data, to the live data. It's not live, but it's telling me I can go live if I want to. If I click that, it will go live. In other words, I can now upload my data. So when you come to do this, you would go live, click on that button, that will update front office, and you can go local again. Go local means you can just simply work away at your own pace. Alright, so when you log in, you will log in with whatever your password is. Choose your class, and that's your front office password, incidentally, and this is what you will see. I'm going to go what might feel a little bit backwards to start with here, because I want to go to end product straight off the bat. Just to give you an idea, what are we actually getting to? We're getting to this official year thing ultimately. And the official year is more or less cast in stone by caps telling us what we should do. And we want to make it as easy as possible for our marks books to get to that point. So by the time I've been filling in all my marks for the year and uploading them and what the rest of it, I should get then to this official year. Right, and you'll see there that we get a report, which is an official report. It is there for moderation, etc., etc., etc. All of these things, we are told that is what needs to be filled in. That is what each of them must be out of. The totals. Here are the task numbers, and here is the breakdown that they want at the end of the day. All of these up at the top here, you can see they auto-fill in. This whole thing auto-fills in. There is nothing to do other than just put in your marks, and this thing will auto-fill itself in. It will auto-calculate the whole lot. So that is where I started. I started with the idea that if we're going to really get passionate about this thing and do it properly, we want to be able to get to this point here where I can just press a button, print, and that's my MarkBook done. I can present it to whoever it is. If this has got to be signed off by the class teacher, it's got to be signed off by the HOD, it's got to be signed off by the academic head. It's a really official document. It has to be absolutely spot on, and that is what I wanted to get to. So although I'm going to the end product first, it's good to know that is, when we are entering marks, that's ultimately what we are getting to. We'll see the individual term ones. I've made a little report for each term, and I've tried to make that as simple as possible for you. See, I've only entered one comment here, just testing. At the moment, this is all just testing, alright? These marks are not real. Here again is just a breakdown for term 2. What did they actually want? What was the classwork, the June exams, the total, etc., etc. That is what actually is your calculated term 2 mark. And when you upload, that is what will upload. There is one proviso which I will show you about as we're going through it. All right, this will also have, I'll make statistical analyses to these as well. You'll see that goes over to the second page. We get our class average, our standard deviations. I will talk more in a later video about class average and standard deviation, and how the academic head looking at the grade 12 English marks as a whole might say the standard deviation needs to be moved up a bit, and we can put in a new standard deviation and the marks will rework themselves so as to reflect that standard deviation. Completely reversible operation, not a problem at all. Right, here are my actual entry screens. Right, there's my entry screen for term 2. Let me put that thing down. And all I'm doing here is coming and putting in marks. Your term 2 final mark will automatically adjust itself, as you saw happening there when I changed that mark. Getting these marks to sort themselves is pretty simple. I simply double click there and you'll see how those marks update themselves. Putting the term 2 mark in so that when you upload, that is the mark that will be uploaded from front office. So that you can clearly see what happens here. I've got a preset comment. Let me put in a preset comment here. And this is another, well, I wouldn't call it failing, but something that bugged me about the other mark books that I looked at, and it sort of held me back. You know, we always have a look and see what other folks are doing. When I first started front office, I reverse engineered a lot of SASPAC because it was just such a great program, and a lot of it is what I wanted. So we do look at what each other's doing, and I couldn't find anything that suited what I wanted here, so I just did it from scratch. If I put in the comment 364, that's all very well, but it's very easy to put in 346. When you get to merge, you get pretty dyslexic, and that is a par for the course, to switch numbers around. It's always worthwhile when I press the down arrow for that to show me what is actually going to show on the report. When I click on the upload button, what is it going to put into front office? Alright. So now, if I close this jolly thing, if I close this, I'm expecting when I upload my data, this girl called FreeGuard will have a term 2 mark of 49 and a comment that says the improvement in Megan's attitude and conferences is pleasing. Right, so now we're going to go and do that. At this stage here, I'm going to go live so I can upload marks. And I'm going to go to term 2 and I'm going to update my marks. I'll come back to it now. Right, now I'm going to go back to the front office from which this originates. I've already got this class showing. Going into datasheet view, and I can see that this didn't have a comment before. It now has a comment. That is the comment that we put in, 364. There it is. And there is the mark of 49 that we expected. Okay. Now, very important. Very important. One of the problems that I discovered with looking at different mark books and things is, again, this idea of the interactive nature of things. You know, I don't want something like Pencil Box, which throws my goodie into an Excel, which is, I mean, I love Excel. It's great. I learned how to program on Excel. I learned how to write macros. I learned how to write modules and code behind it to do all sorts of things. It's great. It's brilliant. But it is a spreadsheet, and it is relative. And if a new kid arrives in class, into your class, Excel can do funny things with it. So in the same way as that a database, when I'm making spreadsheets in a database like this, for example, they're not as powerful as Excel. Likewise, Excel, when it comes to data, is not as powerful. So it's horses for courses. The MarkBook I wanted was something that I could interact both ways. Brings me to the point here, you won't necessarily see this when you're actually doing it. I've kept it in here for intentionally. You'll see that every time you change a mark here, it creates a date stamp of exactly on what date and what time that date stamp was, what time that mark was changed. The importance of that, of course, across the range of front office, I've only learned how to do that recently, and of course it makes a huge difference to be able to delineate at the end of term 2, for example, when new kids come into the school for term 3, if you go back to term 2 and you want to print reports and things, maybe there are more days absent because they're picking up days absent for the year. If we date stamp when the kid came into the school and then we filter according to that in our reporting and things, we've got far better control over what happened at what stage of the year. But I digress. Alright, the importance of this will become evident now. Interactive means working both ways. This is the mark that came into your MarkBook. The mark is 49. For whatever reason, you go and you're saying, Shane, this poor kid actually worked very hard and I would actually like the child to have a mark of 50. So I take it that you get clearance from somebody and then you head down to your administrator and you ask them please to change that mark to 50. Right, done. The minute I change that mark to 50, if I look across here, it will tell me that that mark was changed on the 2nd of September at 5:14 a.m. Right. Now, how does that affect our MarkBook? Remember that mark was up to 50 and it was filled in 5:14. So now I'll go back to my MarkBook and if I go live and I go back into term 2, I will now okay, I'm back in my term 2 here. Now remember that we've just changed this Megan girl, we've changed her mark to 50 and there we see that the term 2 mark was changed to 50, although in the MarkBook the final mark is 49. Right, now this is where this date stamp becomes important, because we know that it was at the date time stamp here, as you can see in front of us, that mark was changed at 5:14. Right, but in the MarkBook this was updated with this mark was updated at 5:09. In other words, an earlier time. So it will always, front office will never override the latest mark that's been put in. That is extremely important. You can get into, when you're having something interactive, it has got to be able to pick up which is the correct mark. There's no point in me going to 50 in front office and then I go and upload my term 2 marks again, and I go into front office and this jolly thing's gone back to 49. Okay, what happens is that every time you change a mark anywhere, whether it's in the MarkBook or whether it's in front office itself, it will always create a date time stamp, and whichever way you are working, where you're uploading data to front office, it will look in front office when it goes to work out this mark here, it will see, okay, there's been no change in front office, so I will put the mark of 77 in. It will go to this one and it will say, hang on, I want to put 49 in, but that mark of 50 was put in later than this mark was uploaded. So I must not change a mark that was the latest mark. This one, perhaps a mark in front office was in there, but it was an older mark, and so it will upload this mark. Now this date stamp issue, people, is crucial. It's a security blanket for everybody too, that you can't make mistakes. If you want to go and make adjustments in front office, it's not a problem. You can do that. The date timestamp will keep a control of what it is. That's also good for checking too. You can see, alright, something was changed. When did I change it? And it all happens automatically. As you can see, the uploading of marks is really not a lengthy process. To get to your term 2 printouts, you can see now that that's automatically picked up the fact that this comment has now been put in. You can see that the mark according to your mark book, according to these calculations, was 49, but that this mark has been overwritten in green here, the 50. That mark has been changed in front office itself. Now, it just gives you a very clear picture of what is going on. Okay, so ultimately what I didn't want to do, folks, when I made this mark book, I did not want for you to click open the mark book and all of a sudden you are faced with a situation where you just see a spreadsheet of some sort in front of you. I did want it to be something that was truly interactive, that would give you all the official things that you needed, that was customizable, that you could modify as long as you always get to this, and also that had simple building code in it. And again, I will come around to later videos to show you those. The other thing is that, and this will be in video 2 and it'll be very worthwhile. This has been a slightly long video, I apologize for that. I wanted to get the basics of it out the way. In the next video, I'm going to show you this thing, and this was also what I meant by versatility. I'm going to show you this mark book running as if you were at school. I'm going to show you what happens if you put it on a flash disk and you take it away with you and you work at home. I'm going to show you how I can log in with my tablet. I'm going to show you how I can log in with a laptop. I can show you how log in with a tablet or a phone. I can log in with my phone as well. I can be standing in the street and log in with my phone if I so desire. I wanted that kind of versatility to the thing, so that you're not restricted in any way about how you can use it. It has to be on a flash drive. Having to be on a flash drive is restrictive. I think one thing worse is probably these new programs that are coming out with something that is still in the BRICS countries used a bit, but it's going out of fashion in the first world countries. Is this idea of browser-based running. The problem with that is if your internet connection is it's browser-based, you can only work in a browser. You have to have a live internet connection all the time. It's to me that's also restrictive. We want it always possible. Okay, folks. As I say, that the second video will be very interesting, and I will show you on screen. I'll show you how I tap in from various devices. Remember, we are now entering the world of cloud, and we are entering the world of the Internet of Things, actual objects. We can log into objects anywhere we like. Right, I will leave it at that at this point. And I'll head on to start making video 2 with a little bit of preparation now.